2, 1.
You're now watching two old farts making noises. Welcome to Canadian Art Today with your host, Paul Constable.
Oh,
Hi,
good
Paul.
afternoon, good morning, good evening to everybody, and to Paul.
Good day.
This is your first show, my friend. This is it. This is all you. David and I get to sit here and look pretty, kinda.
Well, we're giving it a go. I think this is gonna be exciting. We have I've got schedules right till almost the end of March already with some great interviews potentially coming. So I know I've got some great artists coming, diverse
Very cool.
group of people as well from one end of the country to the other. So we'll just I love promoting them and showing them what they can do in the world and sharing what their skills are with everyone. It's a great privilege, actually. Yeah.
And it's ours as well to bring it to everybody as well.
Oh,
But today we
appreciate
have
that.
a very cool artist who was nice enough to, hurry up and get ready for us. So we apologize to her for 100 times. But she does something which you're going to talk about, which I find fascinating. So I'm much looking forward to this interview.
Yeah,
Something I'm not familiar with.
She's breaking ground, which is really, a lot like you think about it. A painter's a painter. They've been painting for centuries, but to break open in a whole new way of doing something that nobody else is really doing very much in, like printmakers have been doing printing and different things. Well, this person's doing something very, very unique. Not that we all can do it, but it's just like she had this great idea. So I'd love to share that with everybody and what she's doing. Yeah.
Sure. Should we bring her in, or just keep talking about her at the end of the show?
Talk about her from behind her back. Yeah. Let's.
I like that.
Let's bring her in.
Okay. And here she is, everybody.
Hello.
Miss Bonny is here.
Hello, hi, Bonny.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome, Bonny. This is.
Just so you know, I can see you in the green room.
Yes, we know. We're well aware of that. So we would never say anything we would not say in front of your face. So unless we have you in the green room, of course. No, I'm just kidding. So, well, thank you once again for showing up, and you're going to talk about your groundbreaking influence in art, which I think is called, and Paul and you can both correct me, echo painting.
It's
echo art.
Yeah.
Eco.
Eco. Yeah.
Okay.
Be eco in Europe.
Okay. Be eco here as well. Yeah, echo is one of
Be
those.
eco here as well.
In the cave things is an echo, right? You can have.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's got that H.
Not enough Scotch and cigars yet.
Yeah, Steve's from New York, so he's got this accent.
Never gonna tell you. At least I got painting right or printing. So
excellent. Well, I'm looking.
Paul, over to you.
Well, this is looking forward to this very much. So this is our inaugural show for Artists in Canada to be hosted by the two old farts, which we enjoy very much. Today we're going to have I guess I'll back up a little bit. What we're going to do today is interview an artist as well, but over the next number of weeks, months, whatever, we're going to bring artists from all across Canada and talk about what they're doing in Canada and how that's going to fit in the world of art. And today my guest is Bonny Macnab. Now, Bonny is a painter, installation artist, and an eco printer. And today she's going to talk about her eco printing, and she's coming to us from her log home and studio, which is on a farm in Mervyn, Saskatchewan, Canada, which is on the prairies. And she literally squeezes the life out of plants onto fabric, paper, leather, and she makes wearables and two-dimensional art. So I'd like to welcome Bonny to our show. We'll bring Bonny on.
There she is.
Hi.
There she is. How you doing, Bonny?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I like talking about it with people who are excited about making art and being inspired. So it's great. yeah, it'll be a fun bit of time to hopefully bring out some curiosity. So.
Yeah, for sure. I just break into a couple of intro questions here for you. Can you let's just start off somewhere simple here. Can you give us a bit of your background as an artist? Where have you come from? What do you do? Where have you been?
So I've always been a crafter since I grew up. My grandma was a really big inspiration. She was, from the prairies where you just made stuff out of nothing, and it always amazed me. She'd open up her cupboard and then bring out fabric or buttons or whatever, and by the end of the day, we had either something to wear or something that we played with all day. And I think that's kind of where my curiosity and inspiration started. And then I graduated on the West Coast, and I graduated with honors in art because that's what I was good at. I wasn't good at academics. So anyway, and so I got to likely get back into my painting, and that one in about 1982. And as you can see behind me, I really like to learn stuff that I'm interested in. And so I'm quite, color is just how color works, and how mixing and beside each other and all of that really got me going for likely 20 years. So I did painting, and still one of my favorite kinds of paintings, as you know, Paul, is plein air painting. So I love to go out in nature and just sit there and appreciate all that the land has to share with us. And it also makes you present. It gives you an opportunity to be present. And so I was likely introduced into the eco printing about 10 years ago. And yeah, and they were at this retreat. They were just printing prints on paper, and I thought, paper? Well, watercolor paper is cotton, and cotton. Well, we wear cotton, right? And so that's kind of where the eco printing started. And given the nature of my curiosity and everything, I delved right in, and now you look at my studio and it's full.
So you see, people, you hear the word eco printing, but we really haven't delved into what is actual eco printing, right? So where are you bringing your product from? And I guess I find that I know who you are, so I know what you've painted together and things as well. But I think understanding that what you're doing is coming from the area you live in, the plants that are in your area. So that becomes your pigments. That's what's coming. So that's where I want to premise. What is eco printing? How does that work?
Okay, well, so I dabbled in eco printing for a couple years, just trying to figure it out myself, and of course reinventing the wheel somewhat, because around the world there are some amazing eco printers, and I don't know if plant extracting is the word, but Indie Flint is one of them. Anyways, I applied for a Canada Council grant to research Western Canadian plants that print, and it gave me an opportunity to be paid while I did research. And so what I did is, how eco printing works is you go and find plants, and not pillage. You go, lots of times they're leaves that are, fallen on the ground, or if we're trimming hedges or whatever, but or pick leaves off the trees. And then there's a process where first of all, you decide what fiber you're going to use. And I've used mostly recycled cotton. So I go to all of the Salvation Army and get something that's being discarded or needs to be repurposed or restored. And then I mordant it. So mordant is like a Velcro. So it grabs the fiber, and it's a solution like alum, which is what you use to pickle. And and it grabs the fiber, and then it grabs the other side of it grabs the plant image. If the plant wants to give you its image, which depending on what kind of year it is, the plant will leave its image. And it's just incredible because even though I know the process and I've known the process well for a while, depending on the season, the water, the fabric, the leaf, the trees, I've learned so much about the trees and the plants as to their life and how they want to interact with me. And it's just so I can do it with intent, and then I will unbundle it and go, oh, okay, so this is what you want to give me today. And so it's fascinating. So you lay the leaves on the fabric, bundle them up in a tube, and sometimes the tube can be aluminum or copper pipe or a piece of birch bark, and you wind it really, really tight, and then you either steam it or you submerge it in heat. So kind of like fossilize. That's what I unbundle them thinking I'm unbundling fossils. And then you unbundle it, and after you've processed it for 90 minutes to 2 to 3 hours, it depends also on the leaves, and you unbundle it, and it gives you it surprises you. Sometimes I can't even wait. My fingers get burned, not burned, but to unbundle, or sometimes I wait till it cools off.
So that's working with like larger pieces. So like you can take larger pieces of fabric and you roll it, like you said, and you bind it and you steam it, or So you're really squeezing I like that, squeezing the life out of that plant a little bit, but it is like you said, it's leaving its impression with you as well. So that becomes kind of a design thing as well. So you're choosing different plants even at a time. So now these all create textures and patterns on, say, a wearable garment that you're going to actually make something from. And these can look pretty amazing, unique, one of a kind. Never ever get a duplicate a garment, which is amazing. So you can see some great fashion person who wants a totally unique piece of fabric that no one else will ever have ever. That's eco printing can do that for you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
no, it is absolutely one of a kind. And the other thing is now I'm figuring out, so now I have done lots through the research. I've done like yards and yards. People have given me old top sheets and old curtains and that, and it's just been wonderful. The community has been such good support. And so now when back to design, lots of things I've designed with intent. And now I'm deconstructing and reconstructing to build other designs. So now I'm, doing some slow stitching, or even stitching on the on some of the wearables that I've done. And then there is, you can see the scarf that I'm wearing. I've printed on silk, and the silk is, this is an interesting bit of information that I didn't know. Silk and wool are a protein fiber, and then there's cellulose fibers, and they also print differently. And so it's just, but design is likely, that's kind of, like I said, it's predictable, but then it's not. So then you have to go to another place and work that out, which to me is making me a stronger artist.
So you just said color, and I see like a color wheel in the background behind you there. And so is there a way then, you're producing a product and you said you're going to go searching for plants. You know that certain plants can give you, in the right conditions, a certain color. Can you kind of plan your own color wheel? I mean, we're talking about earth colors, but some of them are pretty bright. It's pretty amazing. So you get a green plant and it gives you a red color. So it's kind of this understanding that XYZ plants will give you this color I guess range is the word I'm looking for. I mean, the textures alone are unique. Some are pointier leaves and rounder leaves and branches and different things. So it'd be nice to see. Let's look at a few things that you have produced. But the color wheel, back to that. Can you actually predict color a little bit?
You can a little bit, but and absolutely, like now I'm starting, not starting, and I know it's kind of like going out into a community of people, and I know I'm starting to know, what colors they are, and some of them are really vibrant and and then some of them are really calm and quiet, and then there's a thing called a mortifier, which is the pH. And so if you add a little bit of acid like vinegar, or you add a little bit of alkaline like salt, it can also change the color. So you have, you might have one plant that will give you one color in one situation, but then you have a whole broad line to the right or the left, depending on how else you want to work with it. Now, that's a print. The other whole ball of wax is to get into the dyeing process of natural dyeing, where you can take an abundance of a weed like a chickweed and simmer it and get the dye out of it and use it also in the process with your fabric.
So it can give you a background color, for instance,
Yep.
if you're looking for a base color instead of everything being on white. You can
Yep.
you can actually, okay. So does that require two-step process? One where you're actually stain the background first, let it dry, and then do your eco on top of that, or are they combined?
Exactly right. Well, there's a number of layers that you can make, that you can do that process. And the other thing I've learned with this process is it's not quick. And so it's really nice to slow down and be really present in the process of what I'm doing. And yeah, so
Yeah. Well, you have a background in plants anyway. You've got a greenhouse, and you're very busy up until June with your greenhouse, so you have an understanding about plants for many, many years.
yeah,
So, okay, a question here. So I've created a garment,
yes.
or I've created a two-dimensional piece of art on paper, and I framed it and put it on the wall. Um, how light fast is that? Like we're talking about fugitive colors and things.
Yep.
What can you do to protect any of that?
Well, I myself, I treat them like watercolor. But some colors, and that some people think, oh, well, you should go get, have you ever tried like flowers? Flowers are fugitive. Most flowers are fugitive, and fugitive, I like, means like run away, right? And so I don't usually print with flowers. That's also what this research.
Oh, I think this is what happens when you live out in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere. The gerbil they have to feed.
Yeah, well,
So,
she'll hook back
mhm.
up again.
That's fine. This is very cool. This is like this is a very cool thing. I like
Yeah.
it's almost like it's like a Saturday morning cliffhanger. Like we're getting to the good thing, and now it's like, yeah, tune in next week. So as soon as they get the gerbil fed,
Yeah.
Bonnie
Well,
will
they
be
have to
back
deal
with
with
us.
Wi-Fi in the country, and it's all airborne, so it's a little bit of different things. But Bonnie and I have painted together for many years. I have a cottage up where she lives on a ranch.
Right.
That's a whole other story, man. These guys wrestle cows. Oh my God, her husband and
There-
sons. So it's a very busy life for her, but she is very into her art. And for years she just painted watercolors and oils and acrylics and landscapes.
Right.
So that, I think, was a premise
There.
for. Oh, there you're back. Yes.
Bonnie's
Sorry.
back, everybody.
No,
There
out
we
in
go.
we live out in the prairies, and our internet isn't always always up
That's
to
okay.
It's like your eco printing. You just have to go with it, right? You got to slow
Yeah.
down and not worry about it as much.
Yeah. You lost the artist.
Exactly. Well, we'll just continue where we're going. So we're talking about the light fastness of the product, but the other thing is you've introduced encaustic. Now, encaustic is
Yeah.
wax.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Where do you get your wax from as well? You go right to the beekeeper?
Yep. Yeah. We've got local beekeeper
Awesome.
here, and
Everything is coming from the area. I like
yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's pretty, and that's also what I'm working towards. I've actually been working on grants the last couple weeks because, of course, that's how artists, if you want to do research, to do research, you have to set down everything else you're doing. And so my goal, hopefully with the help of Canada Council Arts or Sask Arts, is to build a sustainable practice within an hour radius of my home. So I don't have to go buy pigments. I can walk out my door and I can know where I can go with respect and have a sustainable art practice. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and what's really amazing is you're building this. I'll get Betty Crocker cookbook. That's what I like about this thing. Like it's sort of
Yeah.
like at some point down the road, possibly, would this be published, available?
I would like to. I'm starting to collect more images, and I would love to make a really nice book because it's interesting, and I most people that come to my studio are fascinated by the process and how it happened, and that they have a connection. So the viewer has a connection, let's say, to that oak tree. But then all of a sudden, that oak tree has left an image of itself on a piece of my clothing or a silk scarf or a piece of my leather or whatever. And it's fascinating, So it's not like I literally cut out the image of the oak tree. It's the oak leaf that left its own image. And yeah, I think it builds more of a connection also to people. I hope that when they look at my art, they they look at nature a little differently, and they also make their own new relationship, because we need that. We need to I think we need to reconnect to the land, and in all aspects, like whether it be medicine or art or whatever. It's interesting, and yeah.
Well, I like the fact that they do come to visit you. Say they come from a different part of the country, and
Yeah.
instead of just buying a postcard or something, they buy even a piece of an eco sheet that you did. You made a cover of a book. Like you make sheets that they can make other things from, like a folder or thing, or a garment or a scarf. But
Yep.
that kind of, like you said, it gives your relationship back to your area that they took home with them.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what? It doesn't get discarded in the pile of other paraphernalia they have. I mean, how many postcards have you actually kept and done something with? I can't say
Right.
very many. But if you bought a little garment or you bought something that you had produced, you're more likely to hang that on the wall and look at it daily or once in a while, or wear that garment to special functions or events. Somebody's going to ask a question about it, and you can now they can tell the story about being with you or at your studio or that area that they were visiting. So it's a great connector. I really love that part of it. So what kind of showing that you've taken this eco part now, how does that play into some of your exhibitions? Like, I think the guy's got some shots here that we can show, but it's like, can you talk about your installations a little bit? Like these are just amazing. They conjure up a lot of memorabilia to me. Where you see a lot of times you see these pictures of people make collages of old photos. Now, I think there was.
Sorry.
no, let's go. You can talk about this one, but I guess I was talking about. I think that's halfway through this one is the one with you and all the hanging things that we
Yeah.
have. But let's just start from the beginning here, and I'm going to let you just tell us what's going on here.
Sure. Okay, so this is part of my research, and this is Artemisia. And again, like I told you, you know, before I did this research, I would go take plants and just, you know, put them on and see what they did, but I didn't even know their names. And now I know their names. Like I said, when I go into, if you go to a party like Martha or whoever, you meet somebody new. Well, this is Artemisia. And so um, and then I start learning other things about the plants. But now, if I want this kind of effect on a particular piece of this I think is on one piece is on silk and one is on cotton, then this is how I started the process of learning the names, learning, like you said, you know, the color wheel, or like I would learn about a color wheel. And having said that, I could go print this particular plant at another season and it would give me a little bit of a different color, likely. So
These,
that,
yeah. So these two are on paper. This is all
yep,
on paper. Oh, this is
yeah.
amazing. This is an amazing piece.
Isn't it?
It just feels like these moths or butterflies or something, but it's a plant. It's gorgeous.
And so it's paper, and I sell lots of little cards. And it's funny because I started framing some of the pieces, but both sides print, so there's two. Both sides are beautiful, and the fireweed prints beautifully. It's one of my favorites. You know, it can look like leaves, it can look like feathers, it can look like whatever, but it always gives beautiful images. And it's one of my favorite plants, partly too because if a forest fire happens, one of the first plants that come back is the fireweed, and it's beautiful. So it that's kind of how I resonate with it, is it brings back beauty after tragedy.
Yeah, fireweed is pretty amazing. It's just a shock of that magenta color that you get in the forest as well. So
So
yeah.
this is one of my garments, and it's called, I think it's called the lady's cloak, or mother's, it's called mother's cloak, which I feel like about Mother Nature. And the top piece is wool, and so people also give me old wool blankets that they don't use anymore. And uh, yeah, I'd like to think I'm not a hoarder, but I'm happy to take any kind of natural fibers. And so I printed it. It's actually, I have it, what's the word? I have it submitted for an exhibition. And then the bottom, underneath it is a whole dress that is done, that printed beautifully. And a lot of it is in dog bane and wild rose. And yeah, it's,
Yeah. No, I love these earth colors. They're gorgeous. Yeah.
I thought it was a kimono when I first looked at it, and I thought, oh wow, you know, it's like completely different color palette.
Wouldn't that make a great kimono? Like
yeah.
Oh yeah,
it would
Yeah,
be.
and
absolutely.
I think there are likely eco printers out there that would make it. I've got the yardage for you.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So this is Continuum. This is one of my exhibits where I took my yardage and it was like, how do I present it so that it would present time and timeless. And to me, the months and the circles resonate with a continuous time, and how all of us every season have new memories, that we have new memories and we have old memories that resume right after in the seasons. Like, I don't know if you notice, like in the springtime, you know, when the sap starts coming up into the trees and it's like it's spring, and it just gives you a renewed feeling in the memories. And so that's kind of what this exhibit felt like. Paul, you went and saw the exhibit.
Yes, I did, and I was there. What is really neat about it is to be able to walk through the. That's the nice thing about an installation. You can actually, where Bonnie's standing, she's in the middle of the circle, so you can actually walk through and look at each of these uh, garments. They almost feel like garments, but they're like. I felt it was very reflective of pioneer era. Like these became tabletops to me personally. And I was look. It was like I was walking through an era. My grandparents farmed in the same community, almost 100 years ago. So I felt that these were fabrics that maybe my grandmother might have had
Yeah.
over draped over the table in her in the eating area, or they're not doily like, but they became adornments, I guess, and they have function. But I did like the flat surfaces, and if you sit down, they're all set at about the same height, so you can. When you come in, they create these 12 planes, and I do like that. 12 months, the
Yeah.
half a day, 12 hours, right? They have that magic number. Um, I mean, you see that nice bright yellow one over on the left side, and you kind of go, they're not all brown, right? And
No, no, no.
it
And
had
it,
yeah,
uh,
it had memorabilia attached to it when I saw the show, for sure.
yeah, good, good. I look at it now, and now that I've started doing a little stitching, now I might revisit it and maybe have it an interaction exhibit, and maybe put some stools there and have people stitch. I think it would be really a really good way to uh, make it interactive.
Yeah. The nice thing with installations, they conjure up your own invention about what's happening. Like you
Yeah,
have to make it up. This is a lovely piece here.
yeah,
So
yeah. So before I started eco printing, I was painting on silk, like literally painting on silk. So I knew exactly what image I wanted, and so I had all of that information from what I've learned about color, and then I was doing silk. I actually did an installation on with 9 silk banners with all water reflections, and so I'm still working with silk, but just in a little bit more organic form. And I am still hand dyeing silk. I'm actually teaching a course through the U of S right now, but this particular piece is eco printed, and it's amazing. Silk really likes botanical prints, and so plus it's lovely to wear. And so it's the same thing, I will lay out a long silk scarf, and it will be white, and I'll decide what leaves I want to lay on top of it, and then I'll decide what pipe I want to bundle it around, and then I'll roll them all up and tie them really tight, and I'll put them in a steam or a submerge for 90 minutes and unbundle it, and it will surprise me. I mean, I say surprise. I have an idea of what's going to happen, but sometimes it surprises me. Yeah. Yeah.
and this piece here, this one.
This piece, so this is still in what's the word? I've submitted it to a gallery exhibit, and it is about a sense of place. And the area that I was at, the beavers would dam the water so that so they could have water before it got to the river. The dam beavers. Anyways, and so so I printed this piece there, and it was really cool because the wolf willow, you can see the trail up the middle. The wolf willow left the image like it was the prints of an animal walking up, and I did not know this was going to happen. I put it there with intention, but not what happened, which I just love the animal print. And then I made it so this piece is encasted with wax, and made it look like the river flowing over the dam. And then on the left-hand side, dyed organza, which is another kind of silk. And it's my water piece that, I hope replicates that.
Yeah, it looks very topical, like topographical, right? Like a map.
Mm-hmm.
Very aged, old map. It just says maybe a treasure map. That's what you got to make treasure maps or something from it.
Well, it is a treasure map. That's what I call it. It's like going on a treasure hunt. Like I'll go find. The other thing that interacts with the botanical prints or the eco prints is pieces of iron, and little bits. So I'll find rusty nails and rusty, bolts or it's got to be fairly flat, and you put it in with your prints, and it also will, the chemical reaction that happens brings out something else, or gives you another different kind of print. And it's just very interesting how it works.
So here's a close-up of one of those from the installation.
And
Yeah.
Another piece. I suspended them because I also feel like I also feel like there's a it maybe gives a feeling of fragile, and to be mindful, and that's kind of the feeling I was hoping that it would give. And then on the other end of that, they're iron hoops, which is a little bit more about strength. So I always have this discussion about the water, where you stand beside an ocean, and the ocean can make you feel as calm as can be, or it can come and wipe out half a city. Like there's such a varied degree of nature that can bring you different emotions, right?
I like the fact that you've got the pattern shows up on the top surface, the round surface, and it's stretched tight.
Yeah.
And it's a defined pattern on a flat surface, yet the pieces that are hanging down are, again, they're loose and they're organic looking, and they're of the same thing, but they look very different because one has been stretched flat on the top to hold the hoop together. The hoop holds it together. And no, you know what? They almost feel like veils at times. They feel like, you'd wear this headpiece in the desert or something at times. You'd feel like, to keep the heat off the back of your neck, like those kinds of costumery, I guess at times you'd call it, of some kind. Yeah.
Well, and it's a mystery that gives you an idea of a mystery, because everyone can interpret it from their own experience, right? Like, or their own connection to the land or to the installation when they walk in, which is the wonderful thing about art, is it can leave for the viewer what it's intended to. These are my little scarves as well. And so you can see some of them. It depends. Like if I throw in bits of iron in the pot, you can see the ray of some of the colors, the earthy colors. There was no intention there of putting in dyes. It was just the natural interaction between rust and acid and alkaline and leaves and protein fibers.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask the proverbial question: are any of these for sale?
Yeah. No, I have my website's on Artists in Canada, and I have a gallery in my studio, and I sell my scarves for between $95 and $150. And there would be a 12 to 17 inch scarf by 60 to 70 inches. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they're a lovely gift, and they're easy to mail, which is really nice nowadays.
Well, and the other thing what that will do is, when people that are watching this, down below, David likes me to say that, will be the link to Bonny's website. So you can go to her website and purchase or look or tell her like you loved her interview and she should come back again. So there you go.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, and this is okay. So this is a eco piece. So you know when we were talking about okay, so I can have yardage. This is a piece. This is actually a piece of suede. I tried suede, and then the composition always doesn't work out great. So then you start cutting up pieces and putting them back together. And then I encausted this, and I'm really loving working with the encaustic. It's not like you. It wasn't my intention. It was never my intention to get into encaustic. But then you have artist friends that come along and go, hey, have you thought of this? You know, a way to present it, because that's the one thing I was, other than the clothing and the scarves, of course you wear them, was like everything's always two-dimensional. And this was a way to make it a little, like give it another dimension. And the wax it's so nice to work with. It's, yeah.
It smells amazing as well. And you have wax in your studio. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful.
So that's what I'm on. My studio is, yeah, it's a disaster right now because I've got encaustic and fiber and paper. And when you start getting into collages, then you lay everything out and go, oh, well, this will work. Oh, maybe this will work. Well, I'll try. And that's, see how the process goes.
It's typical of an artist. You will use the space that you were given.
Yep.
We always run out of space for some reason. Yeah. Yeah. There's Bonnie on one of her plein air painting sessions.
Yeah.
That's a few years ago. Yeah, those are good times.
Yes, it is, considering we live in 5 or 6 months of snow. It's green.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's coming. It's coming slowly, but it is coming. We still have a little bit to deal with yet, but get through
Yeah.
March. But
Yeah.
so, like when you're doing the plein air painting, yes, you're looking at landscape, but I guess there's that absorbing all that's around you. I know when we've plein air painted vehicles full of plants on our way home, stuff you find on the way, and you probably can't wait to get them printed as well. So those are very enjoyable. So what is some future stuff you got planned here? You've got a bunch of product, you got a project, another Canada Council grants, hopefully. And where are you going? Where are you going to go from here? Like what's where's this? I won't even say end game. Where you're still beginning here, but it's like, you know, is it exhibitions, shows, installations, where where do you want to reach? Do you want to get outside of Mervyn? Like, do you want to get?
Absolutely.
Okay, so your stuff's available. You're looking for shows and opportunities to show and experience other people with your experiences, I guess. Yeah, if you can explain a little bit where you want to go with this.
I've got, like I said, I spent the last week doing 2 gallery exhibit applications. I really like installations because I like myself, I like to walk out in nature and walk amongst it. So that would be my, what I would really like to do. And we'll see. I have proposal sent out to share the research from the Canada Council grant that I got from a few years ago, because I think it's really important. And if they would have taught me science this way, I would have got it. But now I get it. So, and I teach through sometimes through the Sask Arts. I'll take this process and take students out into nature, and they'll print their own paper. So, and I'm really passionate about sharing it with young people. But I'm working on gallery installations, and I'd like to do more research, which I will anyways, because that's through the process. You're always stretching things, and I don't know if I can I take you for a little walk?
Take us for a little. I'd love to see your studio. Yeah.
For a walk. Okay, yeah. So it's so like I have like I'll have pieces laid down. Now, if I can figure out how to turn this, I can't. So I'm going to do this.
There you go.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
So this, I'll lay it. I'll just lay it there until it says, you know, okay, this is how we're going to work with it. And then over here, so these are some pieces I've started stitching together to see if that's, you know, going to speak to me. And I don't know, can you see? Yeah. And then these are like another, so I'm, you know, looking at lines. This is eucalyptus. And so that's another thing. People will call me after a wedding, or they'll give me a bouquet of flowers and go, oh, could you, you know, here, you can do this. Yeah. And then these are garments that I've printed. So this is one of my favorite pieces.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Now, if somebody wants to buy a garment like that, what would you charge?
Usually around $150.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very reasonable. You can hardly buy a shirt for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all natural fibers. And then here is a piece of wool. And actually, I printed this wool here. I'm going to get my own winter coat made out of it because it's just gorgeous. And
You'll be able to hide in the forest.
yeah, I will. No one will know where to find me. And then over here's a piece of leather that I've printed. And this is very interesting. So this is a piece of leather, and this is a piece of cotton that I have dipped in wax, and it just feels like the leather. So I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
And this here is eucalyptus, and eucalyptus isn't natural in our land here, but people keep giving it to me. So it's fun to print. But this is all these pieces here on the leather are from within an hour of here.
Yeah.
And
it prints beautifully. The leather prints amazing.
Yes, yes, it sure does. And then this is my work table right now. So you can see all my little cans, but I'm working on this kind of thing here where maybe, you know, this is the human connection to nature. So this is kind of how I work, is I have about 3 or 4 things going, and then, you know, have the piece of leather.
So you're starting to draw and paint within the pieces now. Is that what you're doing with some of these?
Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, they can't all be just, they can't all be sheets tucked in a Rubbermaid container that I've printed. So, and now I'm deconstructing and reconstructing. And yeah, in the winter, it's a great time for that, right?
Yeah.
Because
Get a lot done. You either hibernate or you do art, one or the other. Yeah. That's what it's about. So
here's a piece of paper that I did. Did it on a heat press. And so however the process goes, I need heat and pressure. And so this is castor bean and 9-bark. So it's really fun to go. It's really fun to know that I even know this. You know, if you would have asked me 7 years ago what that plant was, aside from my greenhouse plants, I'm the ones that are out in nature, I would have not known. Yeah, and what I've learned has just been a wealth of information. Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to get a published. I'd love a published book somewhere down the road. Not that it's sort of like the birds book and the animal books and the tree books that they're out there. They have these. Do you ever use the app on your phone to determine plants? Is it accurate at all?
It depends. It depends whose app it is.
Yeah, I found the plant not real good.
I hang out with really smart plant people, and that's where I get my most support and knowledge is from the knowledge keepers around us and the artists. You know, of course, through COVID, unfortunately and fortunately, I got to reconnect with lots of people, even though it wasn't personal, but we were all working in our own space. And I have some really wonderful plant nature people, artists, fiber artists, plein air painters, and now we're all reconnecting again, and it's really nice. Those are my apps. They know more than
They do, yeah. Well, and I think the reconnections are probably more magical because you're pulling things together physically, right? Rather than just doing Zoom sessions or something and or talking,
yeah.
by video. Because that nature, I think COVID it made us do things like discover how to communicate differently. So I'm not saying it was all bad, but we're feeling some economic issues right now with it. But that's called experience. But well, Bonnie, I really appreciate you stopping by with us today. It was just an amazing experience again. I look forward to painting again this year with you.
Yeah.
And sometime whenever I get up there when the snow melts.
Yeah.
But thanks, guys. This was
Thank you.
an opportunity.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Your inaugural show. It's perfect. I know it's the New Yorker accent, and it's eco, not echo. So, or if you're from New York, it could be echo. You never know. But anyway, fascinating. And Bonnie's website will be below. If you like the show, subscribe and like and comment. And if you want to get a hold of Bonnie and you can't figure out how to use the link below, which has her website, reach out to us and we'll help you out. Well, this is the cool part. This is where we have to all now be quiet because Dave put so much into this.